Hey guys, Scott Fishman here. Today we have a great guest, somebody who's kind of entered her next chapter of her career. So we thought no better way to have someone, towards the end of the year, someone perfect to have that because I think her story is really great and how she's been handling, what could have been a really tough time. McKenzie Mitchell, how are you doing today?
Hi, I'm good. How are you? Thanks for such a
Um,
warm welcome. That was really nice.
Of course. When someone gets let go of their job right before the holidays, that could be a really down time. So, but you seem to have kind of handled it in stride. You already are you had all your ducks in a row, it seemed, in a very quick amount of time. So I don't know if that kind of helped ease things for you, but kind of take us through the last couple of weeks, and kind of how you're making this transition after you found out about your release from WWE.
Sure, it's certainly been a lot of ups and downs. It's kind of been a roller coaster, as you would expect. When someone gets released, it's for me, it was not expected. I didn't expect that it was going to happen, but I just was able to take the news and take what's happened and then move forward. I think it kind of was unfortunate that it happened around the holidays, but also a blessing as well because I was able to spend time with my family. Still have been able to spend time with my family, my friends, my husband, my kids. All of that. So that's been really nice to kind of just decompress at the end of the year. 2023 has been a really hard year for us, I think, in all facets of life. And so I'm able to take December, these last 2 weeks of the year, and just say, like, okay, let's hit the restart button before we hit 2024.
What kind of response had you got? I mean, I think, like myself, was surprised that, to hear
Yeah.
this news just like yourself, but it seems like you have built so many great close bonds over the years from Impact Wrestling to WWE, and that NXT locker room seems to be such a tight-knit group. So how, talk about the text, the phone calls. I mean, is there anyone, one or two kind of that really reached out there? You're like, wow, this is, amazing. It really shows
Sure.
that there are friends in the wrestling business.
It was very overwhelming, I will say that. To be, I mean, from people sending me messages still today, I still get messages of like, oh my gosh, I didn't realize this, or oh, I'm so sorry this happened. I remember when you got the job, or you'll persevere. I know you, like, we've worked together for years. And that's the beauty about wrestling is it's so small. So we all end up finding each other down the road, whether it's AEW, Impact, WWE, everyone ends up working in the same circle, or we all know each other and we try to support each other. So I've had a ton of outreach from coworkers to staff to executives, to fans. Most importantly, so many of the wrestling fans around the world. I mean, from like India to Australia to the UK, all across the United States, it's been absolutely overwhelming to see all the love and support and how much that my small role on NXT or what I did in Impact and the way I would respond to talent and superstars and just have authenticity whenever I was doing my interviews, how much it impacted their opinion, their experience when they were viewing the television show. So that was really cool. I did have Terry Taylor reach out to me, which was really nice that he was one that stuck out. He's so respected within the business. And so that was really important and awesome that he reached out and gave me a personal phone call. Becky Lynch texted me a really, really nice message, and she's so well respected as well. Obviously, she's a top competitor in the women's division, maybe in the world. She's one of the top. And so it was really awesome to hear her kind words. To me, it meant so much.
And it seems even Shawn Michaels was kind of taken aback by release, a few other releases showing that,
Mhm.
he doesn't seem like he has kind of a full hand on who gets let go and at what time. He just has to take the cards however they may. So that kind of maybe makes you feel a little better that it's not from a performance standpoint, that it was more, whatever the business thought process was.
Of course, that his words. I mean, I can't even describe it. It's it's really a unique situation to have Shawn Michaels say something and say such kind words about someone. I don't think that happens all of the time. So I feel very lucky for that. And to be able to have established a relationship with him throughout my time in NXT, my time with Triple H as well, I'm really lucky in that regard.
Obviously Vic, husband is still involved in the business, very active on NXT. Is it harder to watch the show now? Have you stopped watching? I mean, it's a unique situation because when someone's get let go from a job, their spouse doesn't end up, being at that said job. So it's kind of
Mhm.
a weathering. A lot of couples have been facing, I guess, in the wrestling business because you're seeing a lot of wrestling couples right now. But how are you kind of weathering that, and kind of what's been the watch process when it comes to that sort of thing?
I'll be very honest. For 4 years, we worked together. And so you just get in a routine of things. And so we had a routine on Tuesdays. We would go into television together, and I would go into makeup, and he would go and start to talk to Booker and prepare his notes for the night. And so the first couple of weeks were really weird. I mean, I was like, okay, I'll see you later. I'm going to do this, this, and this at home, or I'm going to go take the dogs on a walk, or I'm going to take some time for myself. And he was going into TV. And it has an emotional impact on you a little bit. I know it was very sad for the first couple of weeks just because, like I said, you get into a routine of things. Um, I have so many friends, and obviously my husband's still in NXT and WWE and wrestling. So my love for wrestling doesn't go away once I get fired or released. And so I'm able to still watch. I've kind of taken a break. I will say that for a minute of the past couple of weeks. I've just spent time with family. I watched the week after I got released. I don't know why. I was just like, I feel like I still have a part in the show. And so I still wanted to support. And of course, I want to support in general. Um, but now taking some after the release, after taking that time, I've just kind of just given myself a break for a minute.
Yeah, oh, totally. I mean, understandable. I think all of us need a break. I mean, I love professional wrestling, but this time of year in general, I think you got to take time to remember what's really important in life.
And
So
look, it's
definitely,
24/7. Wrestling is
yes, it's gotten so hard.
24/7.
So many
There's
decisions
so
to
many
make.
shows, right? There's so much going on, which is awesome for a wrestling fan. But you're like, wow, this is a lot. And then you've got like the pay-per-views on the weekends, Royal Rumble's coming up. Like there's so much to watch, which is also really cool because I think there's so many opportunities not that's outside of WWE where it's the independent scene, it's AEW, it's Impact, it's Ring of Honor. Those It's really nice to have another option outside of
Yes.
WWE as well.
For sure. I think you hit the nail on the head. I mean, it seems used to be, when someone gets let go from WWE, everyone thought it was like a death sentence, like, no, oh, you're gonna be
Hmm.
stuck doing nothing. But, from a branding perspective, social media, getting the word out, you've been doing that, incredibly well in the last just couple weeks in itself, and you've already kind of created a busy year for yourself on just appearances. You talk about
Right.
that side of the business has grown so much exponentially, the convention side of it. How you kind of
Hmm.
been weathering that side, that aspect is someone that you've been looking to for advice when it gets to, there's so many that are doing it really well now. So is there anyone that you look to for
Totally.
inspiration?
Well, first and foremost, I can say Matt Cardona has done it flawlessly. He is my best friend's husband, obviously. Chelsea Green is my best friend. And Matt is so business savvy, not only when it comes to wrestling and who he is as a performer, but when it comes to his podcast and the shows and all the things that he's involved in. He has flawlessly taken, I think, the independent scene by storm. And so I look to him for advice and will text and say, hey, what do you think about this? Or, oh, what should I do here? So he's been one I've really reached out to. But I've just been able to also ask my husband and say, hey, what do you think about this? But you said social media is so different now, and it is. And I think it's such a catalyst to be able to promote yourself and to be able to connect to people all over the world. It was that way in the past, but since COVID, I think it's really taken a different approach, and you're able to speak for yourself. Maybe just put up a camera and say, hey, let's just film this. Let's go live at any moment, which is really cool. Um, so yeah, I think it's social media is a completely different way to navigate the world now, but it's really cool and exciting for the situation I'm in right now.
At the same time, I feel like it's a little unique, more unique to be a woman in the business
Hmm.
and kind of maneuvering this because let's face it, there's a lot of creepers out there, and you're probably who knows what
You
kind of
said it,
DMs
not
or
me.
comments people are on, Cameo and who knows requests, you see OnlyFans and things like that. So kind of do you kind of see in that direction too? Going
Never really been my style.
yeah.
I do cameos. I will connect to people through cameos. I had my first signing that I did after the release. I had three people ask me in one weekend, hey, can you get back on Cameo? I'd like to order one for the holidays. Hey, I'd love to send my mom a birthday shout out or whatever. So I did get back on Cameo. But I also like to show a real authentic side too through social media, on TikTok, on Instagram, of just kind of what my day to day looks like. I think that's again the beauty of social media, where you can take a look behind the scenes and see what that looks like going to all the signings. But as far as OnlyFans, I don't think that's in my cards.
When it comes to the, we talk about how competitive it is to be a performer right now, a WWE superstar with the embarrassment of riches that we have with the talent. How do you, I feel like that's a lot with the broadcasting side as well. It used to be one or two that were on camera, and then all of a sudden it kind of has grown from there with all the programming. What's the atmosphere you'd say behind the scenes when it comes to the play by play, the broadcasting, the interviewers, and things like that?
Well, the announce team has always been a crucial part of WWE. I mean, you look at Mean Gene and you look at all of the people from, that date back to years and years past. And I think now it's a really cool time because we're able to express who we are as personalities as well on screen. I think for a minute, the announcing side, especially the interviewers, went through this phase where the interviewers would just kind of gaze off into the distance after you asked the question. But now I had the ability to interact with superstars and have those moments of real moments that I would want a fan to feel through the television screen or someone that was just watching a viewer. And so that those connections that you establish with talent, with superstars, you're spending all of your time with these people on a weekly basis. And so you're able to just connect as friends as well as colleagues. So that relationship that was created with talent is really cool. It's a really cool friendship. And then when it comes to the announce team, we're all supportive of each other. We all are in the same position. And so if someone's struggling with something, hey, how can I help you? Or when I was learning to do ring announcing, I think that people thought when I was at Impact, I just kind of knew how to do it. And I didn't. I knew quite a bit of things, how to host, how to do some interviews, but I never really picked up the skill of ring announcing. So when I was transitioning to doing WWE live events more often, that was a skill I had to figure out. And so Byron Saxton is, I think, someone that really gets he's very underrated, I guess I should say. He's got so many skills and so many facets and things that he can do, and he is one that I love to learn from.
One thing that you brought up Impact a little bit, and I just remember, when you were first starting out, it was trial by fire, it felt like, but there's a way of when someone starts a job and then that they're inexperienced, but then there's like someone like yourself who kind of, I wouldn't say wings it, but finds a way to make it seem like you've been there the entire time, or that you kind of,
Thank
I'm sure
you.
that doesn't, you make it look easy when I know it really wasn't, when you have Dixie Carter and all these personalities, when you're entering the wrestling business, especially at such a young age. I think it was like either right out of college or something like that.
Right out
So
of college, fresh out of college. My
yeah,
first job out of college was in
wow.
wrestling.
So
Um,
that's a unique place to be in. So I feel like when you got that experience, it's like, if I can get through this, I can get through anything. So how do you kind of remember those times? How did that kind of prepare? You touched on a little bit for your, what was to come in the big, the big ocean of WWE.
Well, I think people still don't know that I didn't watch a day of wrestling in my life before I got the job. And so it was just like you said, kind of learning on the spot, learning as we went along and who these people were, what are these superstars? Where do they come from? What's their background? Who's their rivalry? Like who are they as humans? So I really just put my head down and got to learn and put the hard work in throughout the time that I was there in Impact. And I'm really thankful for that opportunity to start in Impact, where it was a little bit more forgiving than WWE sometimes, where I mean, we had some taped shows. And so I was able to learn as I went through. And then with WWE, you're live. So if you mess up, you mess up on the fly. But that also is a really unique experience. When the red light goes on, can you do it or can you not? And so I loved my time at Impact because of the camaraderie that from the talent, the executives, everybody involved that we got to establish. And then it was cool whenever I met the people down the road, the Bobby Lashley's, Cameron Grimes, LA Knight, Chelsea Green, Allie, which is now in AEW. But we all are still a family. We all still hang out and talk to each other. And I'm really thankful for that experience from day one.
Um, have you gotten reached out by them or other companies? I'm sure you probably can't say who specifically, but has there been a lot of interest in you kind of continuing in your role? Is that something you want to continue to
I
do?
cannot reveal all my cards. I will say that. I've had some really fun auditions that are outside of wrestling. Um, so yeah, that's all I'll say.
So is there something, now that this chapter is on over for right now, do you kind of want to pursue more of the outside wrestling projects at this point because you hadn't had the opportunity just yet, to do so as much
Well,
as you'd like?
There's one project that I've been very passionate about that I had pitched for 4 years and was not, I didn't never, it never got followed through with. I never completed it, never did it. And so I'm starting that in January, which I'm really excited about, which will be independently on my own. Um, that I'm really looking forward to with that. But that will involve wrestling and then kind of tap into celebrity, more outside media entertainment world as well. But I think with wrestling, it's hard. Once you're in, you're in. Like you're sucked into it. You're like, ooh, what's next? Like, where could I go now? And like I said, it's such a small world. And so it is unique in that situation that you could land somewhere else, but I don't know yet. I think it's okay to say you don't know sometimes and take a moment, take a breath and go, where do I want to go? What's my new direction?
Yeah, and there's no set way of doing things either. It seems like everyone kind of has their own unique style and way. Everyone's life
Hmm.
situation is different. So, I think back, some of the big milestones, and you talk about Chelsea. I just love your interactions over the years. But what's kind of really stands out to you as far as like moments in your, whether it's doing the NXT shows, which I loved what you guys did, even on digital, to even your big moment on SmackDown, which I thought was okay. This is going to be her time now. This is
Oh,
kind of just
thank
an
you.
audition of things to come. So,
Me too,
there's
actually.
so take me through those moments, the roller coaster ride that you were on. I mean, I don't know how much notice you had for that SmackDown appearance, but that was kind of a big milestone, I'm sure.
That was really fun to step into a different role a little bit on a SmackDown. I had some opportunities where I filled in for SmackDown and Raw, and it kind of just changes the pace a little bit and shakes things up. Where you go, ooh, okay, this could be fun. This would be my new normal: is to leave on a Thursday, do a Friday, be on the road. That was really cool to get to have those experiences. To doing SmackDown Lowdown up in Connecticut, and just really get to tap into those skills that I wasn't doing on a weekly basis on NXT. I think some of my career highlights would have to be hosting the kickoff shows for NXT. That was 30 minutes to an hour where we're live and it's just genuine, real conversation that we got to do more things on the fly. But that was a moment of we trust you and this is kind of your show, make it your own. Let's see what we can do. So that was really for me like a breakthrough moment of, oh, okay, cool. This is a little bit of a different McKenzie that you're getting to see. What's next is always going to be very special to me with Alicia Taylor. We had
Yes.
Triple H on the show, which was really cool. When we asked him to be on the show, I did not expect him to come on to the show, onto our little, like, just grungy type show that was in the back of the performance center that we didn't want it to feel too staged, and it wasn't. And so when he said, yeah, let's do it, I'm like, okay, this is awesome. We had Finn Balor and Johnny Gargano, and the list goes on. So that was really also a learning curve in my experience with WWE too, because I was able to take just those real moments and just respond and see how that was doing interviews rather than when you're on television, you've got a timed amount that you have for a segment or for a different interview. This allowed us to just have fun. Um, yeah, I think those are a few of my highlights. And of course, when we talk about my interviews, we have to talk about Wesley and the high fives that just were created. I don't know where we even started that. I don't know where it even started from the beginning. I think we just did it in an interview and then it stuck. And then people loved it. And then Wes was like, McKenzie, you can't high five anybody else in an interview. It's only just me. And then we would come up with weird ways like, okay, let's high five over our head and all of those things. So those moments are really, really cool that I got to create those with different talent.
Yeah, especially with the heel talents, like your reactions, your body language with like a Grayson Waller or a Tiffany Stratton or something like that, and just seeing how they respond to you. It's just like there's a lot of improv that goes into this too that people don't
Oh, of
realize,
course.
and
Of
getting that freedom to
course.
do that or being comfortable enough to do that. So that's also something that I think is a talent that's really hard to kind of perfect or nail down.
For sure. And you say that, and of course there's some kind of dialogue that you're going to have to discuss. You know what the question is, you know where you're going. But I think the magic is exactly what you said, and having those interactions that are almost nonverbal. So you're not even saying anything, but if you're a viewer, you can understand and read the conversation, even if the sound was off. So
Right.
that's a way to, I think, really a skill that you have to possess, and maybe that I've learned throughout the years that allowed me to connect to the audience.
Another thing a lot of people don't know or they have come to find out is, you're an entrepreneur. You are,
Mhm.
you have your head on a lot of different hands in different projects. I'm sure WWE's kind of helped in that regard. I see the sign behind you right there,
Yes, I
headlined
don't know
by
if you
me
can see
and
it
M.
fully. Headlined by MM. I think it
So
should be right, but
I love the
yes.
I love the family story with your great grandmother and just working in the jewelry store and just how that's kind of created that passion and love. And take me through growing that business and what kind of responses you've been. It's been fun to see a lot of the wrestlers kind of promoting your designs and things like that. I mean, do you kind of have someone who loves to wear your stuff on the road, like one of the
Yes.
wrestlers, right? So take me through that a little bit.
I'm endlessly grateful for the business, and that I started it in June of this year. It's been kind of an idea that I've had for the past 2 years. And my family's been in the fine jewelry business for 75 years. You mentioned it. My great grandmother and great grandfather started a small fine jewelry store back in the 1950s. And so I always knew I wanted to connect to my family. All of them, they live in Missouri. I live in Florida. And so for me, I love fashion. I love style. I love all jewelry. And so when I was wearing things on a weekly basis on television, I'm like, why not just create my own? This is the perfect opportunity. I can wear my own stuff. I can have that be my creative outlet and really create the pieces that I would want on for me and for my friends and for all my fellow coworkers and etc. And so I just pulled the trigger, started the business in June, and was really it's been wild to see the success so far and all the love and support from people that have worn my stuff. Natalia loves to wear headline. I will say that. I'll see an order come through and it's from Natty, and I'm like, Natty, why didn't you just message me? I would have sent you some of this stuff, but
He's the best.
she's a small business owner herself, so she understands it. She understands the hustle and the grind of it, and that it's a full-time job, on top of what I was already working a full-time job. And it's been great. I'm really excited to see where it goes in 2024. I have some ideas that I have in mind. And it's really nice to be able to still connect to my family even when I'm away from them.
And lastly, just what do you want to say to people take from your experience with WWE? I know you've talked in another interview about, this may not be the end of the road, as we've seen
Mhm.
from other WWE talent. So take me through just kind of putting a bow on everything. It seems like you still love wrestling and this kind of hasn't deterred that. And your husband's still involved and you met your husband there. So it's not something you can be like, this
Yes.
was the worst thing ever to happen to me. So a lot going on there. And then your next chapter. So kind of take us through your thoughts right now as we enter the end of the year.
Yeah, I'm thankful for my time in WWE. It allowed me to grow and flourish with who I am as a human, who I am as a person. Like you said, I met my husband there, so I'm endlessly thankful for that and the experiences and the places I've gotten to travel and being able to step out of your comfort zone a little bit. I think there's something really um, interesting about being able to step out and sometimes just be uncomfortable and it direct you where you need to go. And WWE did that. It allowed me to see what I can do whenever the red light goes on, or to take me to another place that I'm like, I didn't even realize that I could tap into that skill, and I did. So I'm forever thankful for my time in WWE. I I can't talk about that enough. Like I said, I'm really excited for 2024 and to see what's to come there. I think it's a blessing, and I'm really excited to have a new direction and to take a breath at the end of 2023 and go, okay, what are we doing now? Let's set the bar even higher and reach for the stars.
Yeah, and living, you got to live in Orlando, which I love the theme parks and everything. So that's not a total
Oh yeah, I'm
problem
always at the
either.
theme parks. That's for sure. Don't
All right.
even, yeah, don't even think I'm not.
So we might be able to find you there as well. Let people know, where they can find you, follow
Yep.
you, support you. I'm a firm believer in everything happens for a reason, by the way. So I just love what you said just now. So definitely looking forward to that. But let people know kind of how they can follow you and support you.
I'm on social media at McKenzie N. Mitchell on Instagram. On Twitter, I'm McKenzie N. Mitch. I can't get McKenzie N. Mitchell, it's too long. And on my business, it's Headline by MM. You can connect to my business through my personal, or on the website, it's headlinebymm.com.
And you have a ton of appearances also coming up next year during
Yep.
WrestleMania weekend, WrestleCon, things like that. So definitely stay on top of that as she kind of moves forward. Hopefully, we'll see. We haven't seen your last interview in a wrestling ring or behind the scenes.
Never
The
say
world is your
never,
oyster.
right? That's right.
Yeah. Thank you so much for the time. I really appreciate it.
Well, thank you for having me. I appreciate it.